r/ask Reddit. What's a normal thing that makes you strangely sad? When an old person is walking around alone, makes me wonder if they have anybody in their life. I used to work at a restaurant and this older person would come in once a week, usually on Monday if I remember right. They always ordered 2 drinks and 2 specials. They would eat theirs, leave the other meal and drink untouched, and always decline to have the other meal boxed up. We all found it incredibly sad to see that older person who was obviously lonely. Edit because grammar. Very similar story here. Actually one of the only guests I think about from time to time now. Except the guy was definitely my age. Under 30. Like this was a guy who could have probably played on the same soccer team or something with me. Or graduated the same year. So when I brought him 2 meals I figured he was meeting with someone and ordering for them. When he finished he quietly asked to pay for both. I made a backhanded comment saying, "Oh, I wouldn't make you pay for that meal if someone showed you up." He just gave me this really sad smile and said his girlfriend had just died and he didn't know where else he wanted to be at the time and just wanted to pretend to share a meal with her. Calmed everything on the spot for him. But damn, it really hit me that it's not just older people who do that stuff. Edit. Phone typo. The passage of time. You know you're growing up when Pink Floyd's Time stops sounding like just a cool song and starts inducing existential panic attacks. No one told you when to run. You missed the staring gun. A shopping street with a lot of permanently closed stores. Just so you know, sometimes businesses just shut down. I know of some people who closed their business because they didn't enjoy it anymore, were heading towards bankruptcy and were completely fine with it. It's part of the risk you take. Also, sometimes people retire and if they can't find anyone to sell their business to, that's fine by them. Probably doesn't hold for all of them, but in my experience entrepreneurs are pretty chill about going out of business if it happens. There's an ice cream parlor in my town that's been around for over 100 years, passed down in the same family. The current owners are now retiring and sadly none of the family want to take the business on. I really hope it gets to keep trading as a parlor. Listening to music from a few years ago, it reminds me of the times I was a kid. Well, that's more nostalgia than sadness, but I see you. TBH, nostalgia is much more of a sad feeling than happy. I tend to avoid thinking about the past for this reason. Seeing all my friends posting pics of their families and kids on social media. I don't necessarily want kids. I'm not sure I even want a spouse. But sometimes seeing it all fills me with a strange sadness. I think so much of it is growing up it was something expected of me, not a desire. So I feel I'm letting my family down or something. Dunno. I felt this way for a long time. Still do sometimes. Like I'm falling behind the rest of my peers who have fantastic high-paying jobs, and kids, and spouses. That's why I got rid of my social media. I don't need the constant reminder. I shouldn't say I got rid of it. I just took the apps off my phone and stopped using all social media but Reddit and YouTube. If those even count. I feel much better than I did back in the day when I still used them. I'm trying to kick my YouTube habits now though. Takes up too much valuable time. Brother, I feel this comment so hard. People I went to middle and grade school with are posting pictures of their remodeled kitchens, their happy families, their European vacations, and it honestly depresses the shit out of me. They're winning a race I didn't know I was supposed to be running in. Like you, I've turned my back on Facebook and wouldn't use it at all but for marketplace. Watching old videos of me when I was a kid, I just feel like I'm so old now. I'm not, and time just won't slow down. I'm in my 30s now and sometimes watching my kids play will transport me back to when my brothers and I were young and would play together. We still hang out and have fun. But it makes me sad that we'll never spend another bedtime delaying sleep by farting around simultaneously having the most fun and also pissing our parents off. My kids have a trundle bed so when they're supposed to be asleep and I hear that loud ass giggling, I know they're farting around like we used to. It makes me happy and sad at the same time. That's similar to one of my least favorite bad habits that my brain has picked up since I reached adulthood. Anytime I'm playing a single player game and really thoroughly enjoying it, inevitably at some point I'll think about how much I loved playing video games as a kid and I'll have a dawning realization that I'll never get to experience games through childlike eyes ever again. Both the current experience and the past memory are extremely positive, and yet my subconscious somehow finds a way to make it depressing. It's infuriating. When a good book series ends, I feel like I'm losing friends. I feel exactly the same way. You bond with characters in good fiction in a way that's really hard to describe. And even if they survive the series, it's like they leave your lives forever. Rereading is just like reliving old memories. Finding photos. Every now and then I'll buy a second-hand book and someone will have slipped a photo inside. I assume either for safekeeping or to use as a bookmark. They're never super old photos, and they never seem super precious. But that person in the photo is a person, you know? Sometime in the past, someone decided that the sight of that smiling little kid at the foot of a slide on a summer's day was something they wanted a memory of. Maybe that kid's still out there somewhere. Maybe he grew up and he's about my age. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he's an a-hole. I don't know. But someone wanted a picture of him. And now they don't have that picture anymore. And what do you even do with a photo? You can't throw it out, because that seems rude. You can't return the photo to the owner with a "here, you forgot this," because you don't know who they are. So you keep it inside the book it came in, waiting until the day you forget it's there and have a clear out and the book goes back to a charity shop, maybe hundreds of miles away, if you've moved house in the interim, and the whole process can start again. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. I feel the same way when I see family photos at places like Goodwill or shops like that. Someone cared enough to take these photos and now they're just here, waiting to be bought. No one cares about these people anymore. What happened to their family? My sister makes fun of me because I always end up stopping and looking at all of them and wanting to buy all of them just so someone cares about them again. Same with handwritten dedications and second-hand books. At one point someone cared enough about someone else to think this thing would make them happy and even took the effort to try and write that down. Now it's basically just one step from being rubbish. Songs with happy lyrics, but the music itself sounds slow and sad. Or its counterpart, really happy sounding music with sad lyrics. Edit. A lot of these songs I've heard of, but there's plenty mentioned that I haven't. Thanks for the new music, everyone. 99 Left Balance. I thrift books a lot, and it always makes me so sad to see ones that are signed from a relative with things like "I love this and thought of you. I hope you like it, Mom." Red heart. Makes me wonder why they got rid of it, if they ever read it. I've had a full color hardcover atlas since I was a kid. It was really expensive back in the early 90s when we bought it. A few years ago I saw that exact same book at a Goodwill and considered buying it for a friend who liked to look through mine when he came to visit my house. At Goodwill it was under $5. It had a really heartfelt note on the front cover signed by a bunch of siblings, presenting the book to their dad on his birthday. I imagined how it must have been the dad's big present that year. How the siblings pooled together the money and discussed giving their dad the book, etc. Only for it to end up at a thrift store 20 plus years later. I put it back. My dad has recently had to move in with me due to dementia, and we are having to get rid of a whole house full of things minus about a room full of furniture. Some of the things we've gotten rid of include some of the things I've gotten him for birthdays and Father's Day. I would love for him to keep them, but we both know we just don't have the room. He has to choose what is most precious to him. I can see it hurts him to do, but we just can't afford not to. I imagine the same thing happens every time the last grandparent dies in a family, or someone had to go to assisted living. And I'd like to think when I find something like this that it was a hard decision, made out of necessity and love. People falling out, especially long-term friends. I know it's a part of being human, and that not everyone gets along all the time. But it hurts watching relationships crumble in just a second. This, or when friendships naturally fizzle out. I had a realization lately that my core group of friends from last year now fizzled out to the point where nobody uses our group chat or plans hangouts at all anymore. We've all grown apart and are doing our own things. We all have different friends. It's a very natural thing to happen, growing apart. Especially me being in my mid-20s, but it made me very sad to realize that the friendships are no longer strong. I've been there. I'm still grieving the loss of an old friend who has let our relationship become totally one-sided. At one time she was a literal lifesaver and was the only person who I felt I could count on when I became seriously depressed. I've since gotten help and am in remission. Seeing a creature with low IQ punished that doesn't understand it is being punished or why. People should educate themselves more about raising animals. I was too young when I had my dog to understand my parents were punishing it wrong. It was a good dog, but sometimes she'd escape to go to my grandparents where she partially grew up. When she came back by herself, my parents would punish her. Not everything has to be about Trump. Seeing the empty space on the couch reminds me of all the people who I used to see, now no longer in my life. Get you one of those carnival toys, like the giant stuffed animals, and put it on the couch. Then it won't make you sad anymore. Boom. Duck those boring space wasting people. You have a 6-foot tall dragon on your couch. I have a giant, brown, stuffed bear taking up half of my sofa. The missus sleeps, embraced by it, when she naps after a 3 AM shift. Throwing away things that have been with you a long time and broke. Electronics, shoes, clothes. I can't bring myself to throw away a ducking t-shirt because it's like a nice t-shirt and I wore it a lot and now it has holes and is unusable, but I keep dragging it out. I threw out shoes and had to mentally prepare for that. These things carried me for literal miles and miles and here I am just putting them in the garbage. Duck that so much. I have trouble throwing away things that my parents gifted to me. I still have clothes they bought me 5+ years ago as birthday gifts that I don't wear. It's not in style anymore, or just not something I'd wear. The reasonable expectation would be to donate them or toss them, but I just can't. I feel bad for throwing out something that was a gift for me. The normality of emotionally abusing children. It has devastating and real consequences and just because it is common doesn't mean it shouldn't be stopped. As a teen worker in an ice cream store, the way some parents treat their kids even when getting them ice cream is really hard to watch. My daughter's almost 2, and I agree with you 100%. She's literally figuring out how to be a human for the first time. Even when she makes a mess I try to meet it with stern laughter. I want her to know she made a mess and that she shouldn't do that. But at the same time, I'm like oh, nothing gets water out. Derp, because she didn't mean to. And then she laughs and helps me clean up. I'll see her behavior improve this way too. If she wants a sippy cup, she'll put other things down so she can successfully carry the cup. If it's a long day and my wife is home with me and I've just heard it, I'll leave the room, tell her I need a minute, and throw on some headphones and a good song or two. Parenting is really hard, especially if you don't live near any of your family. But man, yelling at your kid like that will cause permanent damage. When movies end, now it's back to this barrel of shite. Watch Avatar, The Last Airbender, then at the end you can return to this utopian society that we live in. Watched it a while ago on Nickelodeon, but rewatching it now, only have the 4 Sozins Comet episodes to watch tonight. A film ending. If I watch a film I'm sad for the rest of the day because it's over. Similarly when I've finished a book, especially so if it's a long series, like, I won't see the characters again, their adventures, their personalities, they're gone. Yes, when I finished ASOIAF, well, those that have been published, I felt a deep sadness. I was empty. I'd spent every free moment for nearly 3 months reading those books. I lost so much sleep because I couldn't put them down. Social media, it's normalized, I suppose, but I work at a marketing job for a mid-market retail website. It's amazing to me that even on a simple Facebook ad for some Nike footwear, the conversation can degrade into such vitriol without much effort. It just makes me sad to see, and I have to see it for my job pretty much every day. I've seen ads for digital cameras on Facebook where the conversations somehow make the comment sections on political websites look like prayer books. Right? I don't get it. It's ridiculous. I can just imagine it. Usually it starts with something like these cameras were made in China by communists. By American LOL, it's pathetic. The beauty of nature. The world is so beautiful and we get to spend so little time just enjoying it. Right, there's endless things to explore, from trees and soil, the depths of the ocean, the microscopic to the vast expanse of the cosmos, and of course, life itself. Seeing other people my age in relationships. When people cut down a perfectly healthy tree in their yard. I've worked for an arborist doing tree removal. We hate it too, if it helps. It was rare for us to find someone that wanted a tree gone for no reason. It amazed me how many people had genuine emotional responses to us felling a tree and how many people had plans to plant a new tree once we were done. Had to cut down a tree that a couple planted when they had their first kid. Their youngest had just moved out earlier in the year, a few months before we came. The tree had been there nearly 30 years. Never thought a job cutting down trees would make me cry, but there you go. The fact that I'll never live the dream life, I'll never get the beautiful mansion or fancy car or the high paying job, and it's the same case most of the world, so it's pretty normal, but it's still really sad. It's all of the idle dreams that you didn't realize you cared enough about to be upset, but then suddenly you are a little upset. Realizing you'll never go pro in a sport you enjoy. Realizing that you'll never be president or a Supreme Court justice or a famous actor. And that's okay. But it's also sad to let go of those childhood dreams. Hearing about people in happy relationships. Toddlers wearing glasses. Even though usually it's a short-term corrective treatment. Something about it just makes me feel sad and sorry for them. I had to start wearing glasses at a young age. I was probably 3 or 4. It wasn't a big deal at all until I got into middle school, and then all of a sudden kids hated me because I wore glasses. Like, what? So I don't get sad when I see a little kid wearing them. I get sad when I see bigger kids wearing them. I hope preteens are nicer now, but I doubt it. Seeing any picture of my daughter when she was young. She's so adorable. But it makes me realize how fast the time flies and that I can never go back to those moments. Oddly enough, seeing pictures of myself from when I was younger makes me sad. They always remind me how much time has gone by and how much of my life I'm unable to remember/revisit. Seeing everyone I know move on in life with little to no trouble, I'm happy for them. But it makes me kinda sad that I'm not where I should be. Everyone around me is advancing in jobs. Doing great things, moving out, adulting. I know a lot of friends who had no issues moving out because they got financial help from their parents. I'm still struggling to find my place in the world and find a career I like. I have a long way to go before I can move out. My parents don't financially support me at all. It makes me kind of sad that everyone else is doing great things, but I'm still stuck here struggling. Going shopping reminds me of the vastness and complexity of industrialization and my comparative insignificance and ignorance. My wife hates taking me to the mall. Why I was verbalizing something like this recently, but it's more like I just get overwhelmed by how much matter there is, especially how materialistic and excessive it is. A mountain is matter, but it's an incredible natural phenomenon. But the fact that we have so much merchandise in the world that, if piled together, is the actual size of a mountain, I just hate it. Can't explain it beyond that. Really weird thing, but it makes me sad seeing things in stores like Goodwill that I know people probably haven't touched in ages. I saw a Fantastic Four action figure a few months back from the 2005 movie, and seeing that just made me feel empty. Decay. I'm like that with a lot of stuff. I attach way too much human emotion to inanimate objects, especially old toys, electronics. You look at it and think at one point, some kid is stupidly happy to have this toy. It may have been their favorite, well loved for years. Maybe they grew up and forgot about it, or their parents just gave it away without them knowing. Maybe they still think about it, but here you are looking at it and they'll never know. You want it to feel loved again, for the item to be appreciated, but you don't have the ability to do this to every single toy out there. Toy Story 3 has entered the chat. Kids being all happy with their friends. I'm always so sad to think that one day, they'll start getting hurt by other people for no good reason, when they all start as pals. Obese animals. Makes me feel like we're doing something very wrong besides the obvious. Death. It's a strange sadness, and like any other I feel. Once you get older, you'll start to notice people passing away all around you. Your grandparents, your favorite high school teacher, some celebrity crushes, idols you had as a child. Then it trickles down to your uncles, aunts, some workmates that are a bit older than you. And suddenly you realize that your parents are indeed mortal. If you're fortunate enough to make it to old age and live an above average lifespan, your close friends will start passing away, followed by people in your social circle community of similar age to you. Eventually people younger than you start passing away. Famous people younger than you die and make news headlines. Younger members of your extended family and people you never thought you'd outlive die. You eventually become numb to it all. But death will never stop having an effect on you. It's a constant reminder of your own mortality and the shortness of life. Man, I'm just sitting here doing laundry, smoking a bowl, and you got me shaken with that. Crazy to think about. Seeing anything that's very cute. Then you must feel terribly sad looking in the mirror. Or older people going out to eat and sitting alone. As an older person, or old enough anyway, I will say that I enjoy eating alone sometimes. It either means I'm traveling for work or to see friends and family. It's nice to be able to sit down and enjoy your food and maybe a book or browse social media. I have friends and family, but I also have a life of my own. If I'm hungry, I prefer to sit down and have a nice meal. Minecraft music. The other day I straight up started crying my eyes out when the music came on while I was playing. Whenever I hear it I just begin to remember the good old days of just playing Minecraft with my dad and brother, watching Skydos Minecraft and stamp along nose, unaware of everything that is wrong with the world. I miss the innocence and hearing the music from the game just triggers those emotions in me. Minecraft still feels like it released a couple of years ago, so this comment makes me feel ancient. Parents who disregard or even get angry at their kids asking questions. They are looking up to their parent as someone to learn from that they respect. And some parents just get annoyed and want their kids to leave them alone so they can watch TV or be on their phone. Balloons being released or lost. It's why I hate helium balloons. Whales don't die of old age. They drown. The poor Welsh. I'm gonna be sad for the rest of the day, but thank you for sharing. Seeing stuffed animals in charity shops. I used to think it was nice they would get a new home with a child that loves them. Then I found out my sister buys them from charity shops to give to her Malamute Husky. He tears them to pieces. Literal pieces. Now if I see a stuffed animal in a charity shop window, I wonder if they'll end up with an Andy or a Sid. When I see a kid clutching a stuffed animal, my brain sometimes gets sad thinking about what they would feel if they lost that stuffed animal. I saw a picture of a Joey, baby kangaroo, in Australia that was given a teddy bear during rescue efforts and he was seen in the wild weeks later still hanging onto the bear. I almost cried at that because I feel that inevitably one day he will lose his teddy bear and not understand why it's gone. When I make a really nice cup of tea and go to take the final sip only to realize I had drank it all. My children getting bigger. One day I wake up and look at my 7-month-old and suddenly see his hands are so much bigger. Or he overnight grasps how to crawl and takes off exploring. Or to see my 5-year-old, hearing her personality blossom in the way she speaks. Suddenly her hair is finally long enough for her first haircut. I swore to myself I'd pay close attention while I was home with my babies, yet it still slips away from me. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.